let's talk about something we all use every single second of the day but probably don't think twice about. Wi-Fi. We just expect it to work, right? You flip a switch, the light comes on. You open your laptop, you're on the internet. But what if that incredible convenience is also leaving our digital front door completely unlocked? That's what we're digging into today.
You know, years back, an Air Force colonel made this amazing point. He was giving a talk, and he just walked over to a light switch and flipped it on and off. His whole point was that one day we'd expect our network to be just like that. Always there, always reliable. And wow, was he right. Wireless is that utility we just expect.
And see, that's where the problem really starts. When something becomes that easy, that automatic, we stop asking questions. We stop thinking about how it actually works, and more importantly, how it can be broken. That convenience we take for granted could be a huge welcome mat for anyone who knows which door to check.
So, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with why Wi-Fi's best feature is also its biggest problem. Then we'll get into the basics of how it all works. After that, we'll look at the constant tug of war between making and breaking digital locks, see some common attacks, and finally peek into the future, where this stuff gets even more serious.
Okay, let's just get straight to the heart of the matter. The fact that we have wireless internet is, it's amazing. It's totally changed how we live and work. But all that freedom, it comes with a pretty big catch.
This, right here, is the fundamental truth of all wireless communication. It's inescapable. With a cable, you know where your data's going. But with Wi-Fi, you're literally broadcasting it. Your emails, your passwords, your messages, they're all just floating through the air for anyone in range to potentially grab. That's the core challenge we're always fighting against.
So, if our data is just out there for the taking, how in the world do we protect it? Well, to get that, we need to quickly cover a couple of foundational ideas about how these networks are even structured in the first place.
So really, wireless networks come in two main flavors. You've got ad hoc mode, which is basically two devices talking directly to each other. Think of it like a quick digital handshake. But the one we all know and use every day is infrastructure mode. That's where your phone, your laptop, your TV, they all connect to one central device, your router, which we call an access point.
And for most of its history, the story of Wi-Fi has been about one thing and one thing only, making it faster. We started back in 1999 with 802.11b, chugging along at 11 megabits per second. Then we got a nice boost with G, and then N really opened the floodgates. Each upgrade just made Wi-Fi more and more essential.
Now, how does your phone find your specific network out of all the others? That's the SSID, the Service Set Identifier. It's just the name, Linksys or Coffee Shop Wi-Fi. And this is so important. The name provides zero security. It's a sign on the door, not a lock. And by the way, hiding your network name does absolutely nothing, because that name is still being broadcast in every packet of data.
Okay, so if the airwaves are an open book, we need a way to write in a secret code. That's encryption. It's all about scrambling your data so that even if someone intercepts it, it's just gibberish to them. And this has led to a decades-long arms race between the code makers and the code breakers.
So let's meet the first real attempt at this, WEP, or Wired Equivalent Privacy. Now that name, it tells you everything you need to know. The goal wasn't to make Wi-Fi bulletproof, it was just to make it as private as plugging a cable into an old office network hub. And here's the kicker, those old hubs weren't secure at all.
So why was WEP so bad? Spectacularly bad. It all came down to a little thing called an initialization vector, or IV. You can think of it as the starting point for the secret code. WEP's problem was that this starting point was tiny. It was sent in plain text for anyone to read, and, this is the real killer, it was reused constantly. It was like leaving the key under the doormat and then telling everyone where the doormat is.
Because of that flaw, cracking WEP became a simple recipe. You just had to listen in, capture enough of those reused IVs, and then some simple analysis would literally give you the master password. It wasn't a question of if an attacker could get in, it was just a matter of how many minutes it would take.
This chart really tells the whole story. WEP was a disaster, so they came up with WPA as a patch. It was better, but still flawed. And then came WPA2, which was a huge step forward, using seriously strong encryption. So let's make this simple. If you see WEP, just don't use it. WPA is pretty much obsolete. WPA2 is the absolute minimum you should be using today, period.
So what was WPA's big innovation? It was something called TKIP. And the important word there is temporal. Instead of using the same key over and over like WEP did, WPA would change the key automatically every 10,000 packets. It was like changing the locks on your house every few minutes. A massive improvement.
Okay, enough of the technical stuff. Let's get into how this plays out in the real world. Because, honestly, some of the most effective attacks aren't super complicated. They're actually shockingly simple.
All right, let's talk about one of the most classic and sneaky attacks out there, the evil twin. It's exactly what it sounds like. A hacker goes to a public place, a coffee shop, an airport, and sets up their own Wi-Fi hotspot with a very believable name.
So imagine this. You're at a cafe, you open your laptop, and you see these two options. Be honest, which one are you clicking? We're all drawn to free, right? Well, that could be the trap. The second you connect to that evil twin, the hacker is sitting right in the middle of your internet connection, watching everything you do, capturing every password you type.
Now, even WPA2, which I just told you to use, isn't totally invincible. There's a more modern attack called a crack, and it's clever. It basically tricks your device, during that initial connection handshake, into reusing an old encryption key for a moment. And in that moment, the attacker can start to chip away at your encrypted traffic. It just goes to show, this arms race never really ends.
And all of this brings us to the future. Because this isn't just about our phones and laptops anymore. We're putting everything on wireless networks, and that's raising the stakes to a whole new level.
I mean, think about something called V2X, or Vehicle to Everything. This is the future they're building right now. Your car will be constantly talking to other cars, to traffic lights, to the roads themselves, all to make traffic safer and more efficient.
Sounds pretty cool, right? But here's the terrifying question. What happens when someone hacks it? This quote from the source material just says it all. What happens when a hacker can turn the freeway into a terror-filled bumper car match? Suddenly, a wireless security flaw isn't about someone stealing your credit card number. It's about life and death.
All right, let's boil this all down. What do you absolutely have to remember? 1. Wi-Fi is insecure by design because it's broadcast. 2. Encryption is your only real defense, so use WPA2 or better, always. 3. Tricks like hiding your network name are basically security theater. They don't work. And 4. Be paranoid on public Wi-Fi. Seriously, evil twins are everywhere.
So I'll just leave you with this question. As we race to connect every single thing in our lives, from our cars to our toasters, are we actually building security in from the start? Or are we just prioritizing convenience and hoping for the best, waiting for a real disaster to force us to take this stuff seriously? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.